what helped me grow was taking the step of saying, I'm not waiting for my district to give me the learning that I want to grow. I have to take responsibility for that.
That's right.
If I want to learn something, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I will pay to go to this conference. I will pay. I may have to be on a shoestring, but if I want to be there, I'm going to be there. And as soon as I started to do that, it was amazing how much more I got out of the experience, having money in the game kind of thing. And even though I am very much an introvert, when I'm talking about things that matter to me, I suddenly have that connection. And when I gave myself the permission to do that and not worry about what somebody thought on the other end, that's when the relationship started to build. It was like making yourself vulnerable to somebody else. It opened up that pathway. It's magic. It really is. Those relationships just become magic.
So Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Thompson. I am an education industry executive at Microsoft Education, and I have the wonderful guest, Melody McAllister here. We have Wezi Tindwa, and we have Dr. Wanda Terrell. So I will let y'all speak a little bit about yourselves and your journey just to kick it off. Mel, I've followed you for a very long time. We are friends. We've been to Portland together. We have had just so much fun, and I've had so much fun following your journey. And I see that you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, yes, and I just wanted to make a slight correction.
Yes.
Although I am definitely part of the EduMatch family forever and always, I am actually working for an edtech platform called Spaces, but I'm still an educator and I still write and create a lot of content. But yeah, and it's great to be here with you, all three of you. You are amazing women, and I'm just I'm so honored to sit here. So yeah, did you want me to, I forgot the question.
Yeah, just kind of talk a little bit about your journey, how you ended up at your role. Yeah, no, you're all good.
So
it's
yeah,
conversational.
so I think this is my 18th or 17th year in education, and I was a classroom teacher, and I loved it. My thing is always creating community. I love EdTech for the reason that it can create community in ways that it's hard to when you're face-to-face. It allows students that don't necessarily always want to speak up, or just, that's why I love EdTech anyway, the community aspect of it. I did leave the classroom when we moved to Alaska from Texas, and I was just about to go back into the classroom when the pandemic happened. I was homeschooling my kids, and I'm still homeschooling them for right now. But I also, I started working social media for EduMatch, and then other small businesses like Alice Keeler and a few other educator influencers. Spaces EDU just picked me up a few months ago. I've loved working for them and definitely giving them feedback and advocating for educators, bringing in my friends to highlight their work. So it's been a great experience working on the other side of EdTech, besides just using it, but now helping others see another side of it. So yeah,
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll toss it over to Wezi.
So you probably want the abbreviated version for me.
No
'Cause
worries.
I have a long winding road with
Nice.
my path, but I actually avoided teaching for a while when I was younger, and I was thinking, I don't know what I want to be, but I don't want to teach. And my grandmother was an educator, and she founded the first bilingual preschool in Malawi.
Wow.
And her passion and mission was making sure that Native children have access to high quality early childhood education, and she wanted to make that a reality, and she did.
Wow.
In Malawi. And on my maternal side, my grandfather was always in education, and so when I think back to that, I'm just it was kind of in the blood,
Right.
and I was so nervous to speak and do any kind of public speaking, so that's why I kind of thought, I don't know if this would be for me. But I fell in love with teaching. Everything that I was working on, just kind of at the side and growing up, was around teaching and learning. And so I started as a third grade teacher, and then my passion is working with English learners. And I was working with English learners for a few years and transitioned to education technology, supporting at the high school level, our high school in Loudoun County, Virginia. And then I was most recently with the Division of Professional Learning, focusing on equity and culturally responsive instruction. And now I'm with Adobe.
Yeah,
I'm
awesome.
doing all the things and enjoying it, enjoying the conversations, and just going back to the passion of making sure that learning, that we can infuse creativity and joy into that learning experience and making it accessible to all, really.
Absolutely. And then Dr.
So
Terrell.
my winding road started as a band director. That was my area of
I did not know that about
Yeah,
you.
me neither.
expertise. I never thought I'd do anything different. I was perfectly fine thinking that I was going to retire as a band director. Budget cuts hit my school district, and my position got cut. But because I was, as they say, a lifelong learner, I had been taking advantage of the technology PD sessions that my district had been doing. We didn't get any special credit. We didn't get stipends. I did it because I wanted to learn. And because I had that background and had made some connections with people in that area in my district, I was able to slip into ed tech. And so I've kind of been in that area since about 2003. It was not an original choice, but things happen that are meant to happen. It ended up being the right place for me. So I only just recently got a degree in technology, instructional design and technology. Up until this point, I had 2 music degrees. My master's in music composition.
Wow.
How does that fall into education technology? But I see it very similar. Composition is putting together pieces of things that come out to something else at the end. Education is very much like that.
I think what's so interesting about this conversation is we all kind of started out in different pathways, and we all, because my story is very similar. I would have been totally fine teaching 5th and 6th grade math and science, but I was the youngest person on the hall, so automatically I'm the default IT person, right? So, and I thought that tech integration at that point was going to be like actual tech integration, but a lot of what I was doing at that level was like fixing smart boards or like connecting like phones together, making sure that the projectors were on. And I was thinking, there's so much more that we can do in our schools than this. Like if this is what we're trying to use the tech for, and we've got all of these awesome tools, why not just kind of find a way to make it work, right? And then I moved into coaching, like tech coaching, and then this opportunity came up for me to basically do this digital strategy across multiple states. So it's just so neat that all of our roles are so unique, but they touch on so many different areas. So speaking of that, I want to know, because it is so fun to be a woman in tech, what is the favorite, or your most favorite part rather, about your career or your current job? So over the course of your career or the job that you have right now. So I'll circle back and I'll start with you, Doctor.
So the school district I'm with, we say we're small. We only have 2 schools, but we have over 2,000 kids. The people that I work with, it's amazing how when you get the right people together, the difference you can make.
Yep.
And my superintendent, and I don't get any special credit from him for this. I tell him I'll go follow him wherever he goes to teach, but he has a way of picking the right people and then letting them do their job. And it's so hard to find that these days in education, where leaders feel like they have to prove themselves and manage other people. His specialty is finding the right person for the right job and supporting them. And he had been a principal of mine in a previous school district. So we had that relationship. It's back to talking about relationships with people, building that connection with people so that they trust you. They trust your expertise, and they've seen how you make a difference, and then they give you the power to do that and help you if you need help. And I've tried to do the same thing with the people that I manage. I pick the right people. I try to be supportive of them, and that's always been my approach to being a tech coach, is I'm here to support you, not to tell you what to do. You're the expert in content. I'm here to help.
Yeah. And that's so powerful too, when you kind of take those learnings and then you're able to implement them yourself. Wesley, how about you?
Yeah, you said so many key things there. Oh my goodness, the essence of the human connection in our relationships, which is the work, is the relationships, and also you said a phrase of giving power, and that has been really influential for me when I started teaching. My dad actually was talking to me about leading from behind, and he said. He was talking about the need of leaders to have those that are following them to really support and inform their leadership. And then that same year, my new principal gave us a book that said you don't need a title to be a leader. And there was this running theme for me of, well, how can I support the culture just in my little small world and be able to be part of a feedback loop for our leadership that is beneficial to everybody, and where can I find these pockets and spaces where I can make a difference and that was coming in those close relationships that I was having, and that's something that has really led my journey along the way. Is I was in college studying anthropology, and the notion of power not being something you curate on your own is that it's given to you, and really having an honorary and a very humble approach to being influential, and that it doesn't mean status and labels and number of followers and number of likes, but really kind of coming down to the relationships.
Yes.
And so I was an instructional coach for many years because of the relationships. It can be very thankless being an instructional facilitation and coaching, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, it's about how are we able to see ourselves as impactful to elevate student voice so that they see themselves as contributors in a meaningful way. And that we are designing learning experiences that make students want to be in school, that make students want to learn, that make students want to be lifelong creators. How do we do that? And it comes by nurturing our full, authentic selves, teachers and students alike.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yes, I couldn't agree. Anymore. That is awesome. That everything you said resonates with me. In fact, I think that my role now, I am always in the background. Like, I get to support so many educators, and I didn't know that it would ever turn out like this. But and what you said, like, we have to let teachers live their authentic selves. And like, I talk about the whole child, but teachers, we're whole people. And oftentimes so much of us is suffering. We're still trying to do the work as a teacher. And it's hard to when we're like suffering on another part of our life. So I definitely embrace everything that you just said. And I think your dad is a very wise man. But that's where I find my role. One of the favorite things that I do with Spaces right now, we just created a podcast called Growth Over Grades. And it's, I get to feature educators and leaders that are doing things that they're just showcasing their expertise, and they're the influencers, and they're the ones really putting the change out there so other people can learn from them. And I love that supportive role. And something else that I just love about my whole journey in education, just like you all said, the relationships. I'm still friends with so many of the parents, and now as my students have become adults, they're having kids, they're lawyers and doctors and football players. It's just
Finding you on LinkedIn.
yeah.
So funny.
That's the next question. That's the next question, y'all.
Yeah, like I love that. I love being connected. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's the perfect segue, because I don't know about y'all, but I feel like every single day I get messages on like Twitter or LinkedIn about, your job just seems so cool. How do I get to do what you do? Or how do I end up in a role like that? Or just like, what was your journey or what was your pathway? So we've kind of already covered like the journey and the pathway. When you receive messages like that, when people are reaching out to you, what is kind of your strategy? Do you give advice based on like the type of question? What kind of advice do you give if you do choose to give it? We're all about uplifting each other, but we also are limited in our capacities, and we need to take care of ourselves. And when there's like 50 messages in your LinkedIn and you're like, oh, I can't answer all 50. But like, what do you do when people are genuinely curious or just curious, period? And also, what do you say? And there's a Flipgrid team. The Flip team. It is the Flip team now.
That's right.
Yes,
Do you mind if I start?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's funny because, somebody said that to me probably yesterday, like, your job looks so fun. My feet will show you that my job is not just fun. I mean, it is fun, but it's a lot of work. And it takes a lot of energy to be welcoming to people and to, smile all the time, even when you're on your feet all day, or, or people have complaints and things like that. It is a fun job, but it's also a lot of of work. And I think that the reason that I was probably asked to, like, in my position currently, is just, I do work well with people. There's networking. And I think that if you really want to be in a space that supports students or teachers, you have to be able to network and connect with people that are experts in different areas and put them together. And I also think that you have to understand that you have value. There's so much in education that we've done for free. And even when I talk with educators, well, how much do you charge if you do this webinar? They're like, well, I don't know. Like, how much would you charge? And I'm like, no, what would make it worth it for you? Because you are valuable. What you have is valuable. So it's okay to name a price because, in the corporate world, it's different. People just expect you to have a price.
Right, right.
They understand that you bring value. And I think as educators inside of the school, sometimes we forget because we don't feel very valuable. So that's been a huge part of my journey so far.
Awesome. Who wants to take it next?
I'll jump in. Yeah. I'm one of the people who doesn't put a price on things. When people ask me, you want to come present for us, how much do you charge? I'm like, I don't, what's in your budget? Because I've always kind of done that approach of sharing is caring. I want to give, and teachers are exactly the same way, right? But I think what I try to tell people is, because what helped me grow was taking the step of saying, I'm not waiting for my district to give me the learning that I want to grow. I have to take responsibility for that.
That's right.
If I want to learn something, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I will pay to go to this conference. I will pay. I may have to be on a shoestring, but if I want to be there, I'm going to be there. And as soon as I started to do that, it was amazing how much more I got out of the experience, having money in the game kind of thing. And even though I am very much an introvert, when I'm talking about things that matter to me, I suddenly have that connection. And when I gave myself the permission to do that and not worry about what somebody thought on the other end, now I still do, but that's when the relationship started to build. It was like making yourself vulnerable to somebody else. It opened up that pathway. It's magic. It really is. Those relationships just become magic.
So you all are saying things that are for me, just I'm enjoying just sitting and listening and being a part of this, and that we bring value. There's so much individual value that can be taken for granted in education space, that is taken for granted in the education space. And I don't have 50 people in my DMs. So.
You will now.
You will now, yeah.
Watch out.
Oh, that's so funny. I actually do not like DMs. I'm like, please stay out of my DMs.
I don't do it that much either.
I literally woke up one morning and there were like 50 people. Hey, your job sounds cool. Hey, your job sounds cool. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Anyway, go ahead, Wendy.
Well, so something that I came to embrace was that my path is non-traditional in the sense of being kind of linear. You do this and then you go to this next step and then you go to this next step. And once I realized the beauty in that, it's kind of like this broken piece just fit this broken piece, and this broken piece fits this broken piece, and that I had agency in making those broken pieces fit for me. Then I realized, like, no, it's not a linear path, and it doesn't look like anyone else's path. It's mine. And that's okay. And so I have loved every place that I have been in. I have truly thought, when I was teaching third grade as a classroom teacher, how can I be the best version of myself doing this? When I was working with teachers in the Office of English Learners, how can I be the best version of myself doing this? And it wasn't a sense of looking for the next thing. And people would ask me, like, oh, well, what are you working towards? I'm like, I'm working towards doing this as well as I can do this. And I've found that opportunities open up when you are so passionate in what you're doing, and that you are becoming a learner, and you're owning that learning, and you're managing your own learning journey in that way, and also understanding. Like I woke up this morning, and not just this morning, but I had a couple mornings recently where I woke up just kind of feeling a little doubtful and just like, I'm not sure. And then today I was reflecting on I'm walking in my purpose. And when you walk in your purpose, you're going to have those days that are really hard and that you feel like you kind of either undersold yourself or you undermined yourself or you didn't quite hit that benchmark or you didn't quite do this right. And those are all part of the chapter of something beautiful, right? That we are going to be telling stories of how you are able to become, as Brene Brown kind of talks about, just being that wholeness, and bringing your full self into what you do, and that's what the world needs. The world needs us as we are in our fullness, being able to really be meaningful contributors to the world around us, and that's what our students need to see too. Is that this is something I can design for myself.
Right.
That life is an experience and a journey of broken pieces, and I can make beauty out of them.
I think something is that people are always kind of looking for like the next step, like y'all were saying, like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Bask in your passion and bask in your moment, because that's when you decide what the next step is. Because it's not about money, right? It's not about I don't care how much money somebody makes. I don't care what car they drive, what neighborhood they live in. I care about, are you happy and are you a good person? Because those two traits will take anybody anywhere. So I've got one question just to close out for y'all. Thank you.
Drop the mic on that one.
Boom, boom. So one question just to close out. How is one word, or what rather is one word that you're feeling about your ISTE experience today?
Just one word?
Just one word.
Relieved.
Yeah.
This is my first face-to-face since the pandemic, so I was very anxious.
Yeah.
Even though this is my 8th ISTE, and I, knew what to expect, having the first thing out of the way is very relieving.
That's good.
So.
Awesome. Wazzy?
I think my word is going to be headlights. Deer in the headlights kind of thing, but also headlights like there's so much to spotlight. There's so many amazing things going on around us, and I'm really excited about where the light is shining.
Right.
It's making me feel hopeful about the future.
That's good.
I love that. I'm so glad I got to be here. This is great. I was going to say tired, but I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative to be here. I feel like I got an opportunity that a lot of people would love to have. It's a journey. Right. And so I feel appreciative that this is part of my journey.
Yeah, mine would have to be excited. I mean, I was looking forward to being here for a really long time. This is my first in-person ISTE, because the first time I got accepted was virtual, and then the second time it was also virtual. So this is my first time here, and similar to all of us, I think we are just kind of a little overwhelmed with the large size of the convention center and also the amount of sessions.
And the heat.
Right, and it's a lot to take in, but it's also really exciting to be here with everybody, and also really exciting to be here with y'all right now. So Melody McAllister, Wezi Tindwa, and Dr. Wanda Terrell, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
You all are amazing.
You are
fantastic.
Yeah, this was awesome.
And women, we just need to lift each other up,
do.
Yeah, celebrate each other. So this was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.